I really didn't want to make this video. Yes, this video is about Lifetime's to Sinclair, but before we start, I have to apologize. Apologize from the depths of my heart. I am truly sorry. I'm sorry that you all feel the way you do about Lifetime's to Sinclair. I know, contrary to the title, it's hard to accept that this ego is actually good. But if you don't like this ego, then I'm truly sorry for you. Because Lifetime's to Sinclair is actually a really good ego. That's right, I said it. The second worst ego in the game is good. In fact, I'm willing to go even further and say it's better than Fluid Sack Faust. Now, with me saying that, I might have started the biggest war ever. And naturally, you would think, well, Welvader, this is literally the second worst ego in the game. How can it outperform literally anything other than Soda f***ing glue? Well, you know what I have to say to that? You don't appreciate the ego the same way I do. And once again, I'm sorry for you having that opinion. Unless you are one of the 4 whole people in this community who think this ego is actually good, I'm about to tell you why this ego is really underappreciated and way better than people think it is. Now, considering we are talking about the literal second worst ego in the game, at least according to the community, I bet that 95% of you just point to laugh at this ego without even properly understanding what it does. The one thing you probably know the most about Lifetime's to Sinclair is how abysmally dogshit it rolls. This is the lowest rolling ego in the game. Being able to roll an 18 and having a negative code of -8 on top of that. In case you literally do not know the game mechanics, this is absolutely horrible. Most of the time Sinclair will be rolling heads, and you will be rolling at a whopping 10. In case this is still not obvious to you, this ego is absolutely not meant to win any clashes whatsoever. In fact, this ego would rather hit its own allies than the enemies. This is the only ego in the game, so far at least, that is indiscriminate in its awakening form, and in fact it wants to hit its allies. For example, if it rolls heads, it heals them by quite a bit, and if it rolls tails, it gives the allies 2 haste and 1 ego resource amp next turn. And in case you don't know what ego resource amp does, because I swear to god Project Moon has completely forgotten that this status effect exists within the game, it basically allows you to generate double ego resources with the skills you use for a turn. Now, as for the corrosion form of this ego, just generally don't ever use it. Like, no, I'm serious. I'm purposely dedicating this part of the script to mention it and then never again, because this corrosion is genuinely the worst thing in the game. Like, it is horrible. Why is it that bad, you may ask? Well, there are a few reasons. 1, the corrosion rolls absolute dog shit, rolling only a 24 with a negative coin of 12. It targets units with the least HP, and typically units with the least HP tend to 9 times out of 10 be your own allies. Because more often than not, enemies tend to have more HP than you do, especially if it's a boss. And lastly, it literally has 3 attack weight. This is horrible, especially if you consider the cost of overclocking this ego, which costs you a whopping 10 ego resources. And no, it's actually worse than that, because for some ungodly fucking reason this ego spends 3 extra resources because of this stupid line that exists for some reason to only deal 30% extra fucking damage. This is literally horrible. It costs 30 sin resources to use a 24 rolling ego with 3 attack weight. This is literal garbage. And those are the reasons why the corrosion is absolutely horrible, you never want to use it. Instead of using this absolutely terrible thing, you can instead spend 10 sin resources to use Sun Shower Yisang instead. Do I really need to elaborate on how much better of a deal this is than Lifetime's Due's corrosion? But don't get me wrong here, I am here to defend this ego. But to defend it, I first have to address this literal piece of garbage. This is literally the worst corrosion in the game, and I need to get it out of the way first before some smartass in the comments comes in and says, well, Welvader, what about the corrosion? Well, the corrosion can take my sin resources and shove it up its ass. Now, with Soup Sinclair being the second worst ego in the game, there's an obvious big question everyone might have right now. How can this ego be good when it has so much competition? Now, I could go about every single ego in the game and tell you why Soup Sinclair mulks every single one of them, but that will be a waste of time. So instead of that, Let's look at the one ego that is Soup Sinclair's biggest competitor. This stupid ego. Fluid Sack Faust is meta for pretty good reasons. Like, even as a newcomer to Limbus company, you've probably heard the mythical tales and legends of this ego and how stupidly strong it is. I will go over this very quickly because pretty much everyone in the grandmas know why this ego is so strong. But basically, this ego costs 9 sin resources, and it has a very good roll that can beat most things in the game, and has a whopping 5 attack rate. So it has the potential to do a lot of damage. It also heals allies by 50% of their max HP, and heals everyone on your team for an absolutely insane 25 sanity if it rolls heads. And this is really tough competition, because it is widely considered the best ego in the game. So you're probably asking the question I've been wondering for a while. How in the ever-loving fuck can this pathetic fanboy beat this ego that has been considered meta for over 1.5 years now? Well, the answer is simple. And when I say simple, I mean it's absolutely not simple in the goddamn slightest. Now, comparing these two egos is like complete night and day. One is meta, the other is widely considered to be the second worst in the game. One heals sanity, the other usually makes Esku smash their head into a wall. Now, to be able to understand why Sinclair is clearly the superior option in this case, we need to very meticulously dissect this ego. And to dissect egos we need to understand one thing. Usually, cost is a very important factor in determining whether the ego is good or not. For example, take Canto towards Gregor. He costs a whopping 14 sin resources, but his effects are underwhelming, and that's why he's considered a, well, really underwhelming identity. I think that's pretty obvious. Hi, it's me, post-editing Welvader here, to say that ever since writing this script I've completely changed my mind on Canto towards Gregor. Trust me, he's still there for the comparison of egos that are bad to use because its cost is really high, but I think he's an actually really good ego and I don't want to portray him in such a negative light. Because I do plan to make a video on him at some point in the future, because I think he's yet another case of an ego where the community hates it, but I think it's a really good and underappreciated the ego. Anyway, back to the regularly scheduled schizophrenic rant about Soup Sinclair. And usually, when you use an ego, you want to have as much bang for your buck. Or in this case, you want to have a good ego for the sin resources you're spending on it. Like, think back to the comparison I gave you previously. You can either spend 13 sin resources to use that absolute dogshit corrosion I talked about, or you can simply use Sun Shower He Sang. Anyway, a very interesting detail is that Fluid Sack Faust heals units by 50% of their own max HP, whereas Soup Sinclair heals by 10% of the user's max HP. And this is very important to us, because we can manipulate the amount Soup Sinclair heals by purposely using a really high health identity. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to the identity that makes this all possible. Now I know what this may look like. There's a reason I titled this segment Welvader half Scopium for multiple minutes straight after all. This identity is not who any of you expected to see in this video, but trust me, Mexican Sinclair is what makes this all possible. And no, I'm not calling him by his official title because it's impossible for me to pronounce. Anyway, the reason why we're using Mexican Sinclair is because he has an insanely high health pool, 242 to be precise. This makes it so every time he rolls heads on Like Times 2, he will heal 24 health to the entire team, which is actually quite a substantial amount. Although you may take this and say, but Welvader, Fluid Sack heals 50% of an ally's max HP, that's probably a lot more than 24 health. And you will be right. However, that is not important. What is important, however, is how much both egos cost. But you know what doesn't cost a lot? Subscribing. That's right. Subscribing costs nothing, and it's an absolutely amazing ego, let me tell you. Trust me, it's like actually the best ego in the game if Soup Sinclair didn't exist. Anyway, back to the original topic. And since we're also about to talk about ego cost, it is here where I'm going to have to blare like 10 different alarms because we are about to do mathematics. I know, it's very scary. That's also why there was a content warning for this section of the video. Anyway, the sin resource cost is very important. That determines how expensive an ego is to use. However, we can also use it to determine how efficient an ego is at healing. For example, take the 24 health gain from Like Times 2 and its cost. Since it costs 6 resources, we can very easily say it costs 6 resources to heal 24 health. And this in turn means that if we divide these numbers by 6, then it costs 1 resource to heal 4 health. Right? So Soup Sinclair heals for 4 health every 1 resource spent. That makes sense, right? Now, let's take a look at Fluid Sac Faust. This ego costs a whopping 9 sin resources to use, which is very costly. It also heals by 50% of all allies' max HP. Now, for the sake of argument, let's say that all allies have average HP, which is 195. It is technically this stupidly long number, which I got from taking the health of every identity in the game and dividing it by the amount of identities to get the average. Which was miserable to do, by the way, but anyways, we will round it down because we simply can't have health values like that in the game. Anyway, if you take 195 and take 50% of that, it comes to 29.25. Which can be rounded down to 29. So this means that Fluid Sac Faust heals 29 health by spending 9 resources. And dividing that by 9 means that Fluid Sac Faust heals for 3.22 health per 1 sin resource. Which means that Fluid Sac Faust literally heals less than Light Times 2 Sinclair. Yes, you heard it here first. Light Times 2 Sinclair literally fucking out heals Fluid Sac Faust. But Welvader, you completely forgot to consider that Light Times 2 Sinclair doesn't heal himself, while Fluid Sac Faust does. Also, Light Times 2 literally damages your allies by applying 7 burn to them if it rolls stills. Oh, now it's absolutely adorable if you think I hadn't considered that already. Ooh, surely Welvader forgot about the 7 burn that applies to allies if it rolls stills, which by the way is the stupidest decision I've ever seen made by Project Moon. Why does a healing ego apply burn to allies? Anyway, we need to take into account that Soup Sinclair, for some ungodly fucking reason, applies 7 burn potency on Tails hit. Now, we're gonna assume 45 sanity for this situation, because usually you're at that amount of sanity by the time you can afford to use Ego slot. Considering it drains 15 sanity, you will be at 30 sanity when you use it. Now, that gives us an 80% chance to roll heads and a 20% chance to roll tails, and apply 7 burn to the entire team. So this basically means every 5 users of this ego, typically one of them will be tails. And so with that, we can say on average, we will take 1.4 damage every time we use Soup Sinclair, and thus lowering the healing done by this ego from 24 to 22.6. What we also need to account for is that Light Times 2 doesn't affect itself, whereas Fluid Sac does. For this, we're gonna assume we're in a 7-sinner fight, which yes, I know, hasn't happened since Dawn back, but trust me here, I'm giving both optimal conditions to work under. Anyway, given these conditions, Fluid Sac Faust will always heal 7 allies for 29 health, equaling to about 203 healing done for 9 sin resources, which also equates to about 22.56 health healed per 1 sin resource. Now, surely Light Times 2 Sinclair can't beat that, right? I mean, it's so handicapped, it literally damages its own allies and doesn't heal itself. It has got to be completely over for Soup Sinclair, and this is the part where I admit defeat and say he's not actually that good, but no, I won't let that happen, because Soup Sinclair's my special little boy, and I am going to prove he's the best ego in the game, because he is! So with that being said, Light Times 2, provided that 6 other allies, will on average always heal 6 allies for 22.6 health, which equates to about 135.6 health healed for 6 sin resources. And dividing that by 6, we get to about 22.6 health healed per sin resource, which means that Light Times 2 Sinclair literally beats Fluid Sac Faust by 0.04 healing done. Yes, I am not fucking kidding you. The gap by which Light Times 2 Sinclair beats Fluid Sac Faust is that goddamn narrow. But this proves that Light Times 2 Sinclair, with all of its stupid fucking 7 burn and its horrible reputation it has, does beat Fluid Sac Faust. And I know what you're about to say, but Sinclair can never ever win against Fluid Sac Faust in a damage competition. Well, that's where you're wrong. Light Times 2 Sinclair was always the strongest ego in the game, yet none of you ever saw the true potential in him. I'm the only one who ever saw the true potential in him, but sure, for argument's sake, let's compare the damage here. Fluid Sac Faust at the maximum can do about 24 raw damage per target, and it has 5 attack weight, so that means under optimal conditions it can do 120 raw damage, right? Well, you want to know what kind of damage Light Times 2 Sinclair can do? That's fucking right. Light Times 2 Sinclair can do an infinite amount of damage, and no, I'm not fucking kidding you. You know how egos typically cost sin resources to use, right? Well, Fluid Sac costs 9. You want to know how much a Light Times 2 Sinclair cost? 0. But doesn't that contradict literally everything I said about Light Times 2 Sinclair? No! I just didn't mention the most important part. Sin resource amp. And the 2 haste it applies. Yes, some of you have probably seen this coming since the G-Corp bonus video, but 2 haste is very valuable. Wanna know why? Because for some identities, it directly translates into damage. For example, Sinclair, Dawn, and Rabbit Heathcliff will get extra coin power depending on how fast they are, and which in turn that means a lot more damage for them dealt. This can technically translate into damage done by lifetimes to Sinclair, because it is that ego with its 2 haste that allows these identities to be quicker and in turn do more damage. And not only that, everyone now has ego resource amp and generates double resources for a turn. And even though you use 6 resources to use lifetimes 2, you get 6 extra this turn. And so basically you lose absolutely nothing, thus costing 0 Sin resources to use. So yes, I am here telling you that Lifetimes 2 Sinclair is literally an infinite damage generator, and no one in the community other than me has realized this. And I am here to share the truth with everyone, for my words are literally gospel. Everyone in this community thought this ego was bad, but no, it is literally better than the ego which has been considered meta for over 1.5 years, and no one knew it. So I urge you to obviously, well, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, but also to use Lifetime Sinclair more often now, because it is a viable healing and damaging the ego, and I don't care what anyone has to say about it, because it's actually really good. Because I've been using this ego since day 1, since the day it has come out. Literally, if you go onto my channel, the very first Project Moon video I ever uploaded was about Lifetime 2 Sinclair. That is how far me and Lifetime 2 Sinclair go back. And also, this is my official call post to people who slander this ego. You know who you are, goddammit. And I'm specifically looking at you, Esku. Do you know how much slander you caused this poor little ego even though he didn't deserve it? I've had this co-op cooking ever since you slandered him in Worst Team Hero by tweet. And well, this is my official declaration of war. Lifetime 2 Sinclair is a good ego, and I will not let his name be slandered by someone who likes to poke fun at him at every video she's mentioned. So come on, show me that this is a bad ego, because it's not. It's an amazing ego that no one has appreciated other than me, and 4 people in this community who actually like this ego for what it is. Anyway, that's about it. I've nothing left to prove. I've shown you that this is the best ego in the game, and it literally mocks Fluid Sacrifice in every aspect. And with that, I kindly ask you to like and subscribe, because this video took a lot of effort to make. Sorry that this video has been late for a while, but I've been struggling with burnout and mental health issues for the last couple of months. So that's kind of why videos have been on and off for a while, and yeah, I haven't made any voice video for a couple of months, oopsie daisy. But hopefully I should get back into making voice videos like usual. And hey, while you're still here, make sure to share the truth to other people. Tell them how good this ego is and how wrong they are. Anyway, until next time. And no, I will not defend Soda Hongu.